Single mom with $0 transforms life on blind date. Billionaire boss's incredible heart revealed. Emma pushed aside doubts as she walked into the Maplewood town hall, the vibrancy of laughter and chatter enveloping her like a warm hug. She was here to support the community and perhaps find a glimmer of hope for her little one, Lily. But tonight, it felt like the weight of the world sat heavy on her shoulders. As a single mom working 2 jobs, Emma often found herself gasping for breath with each pay period, praying for a miracle. The stakes were high, but deep down, she hadn't lost her spirit. As she entered, her eyes caught sight of a man standing apart from the crowd, radiating quiet confidence. James wore a tailored suit that seemed almost too polished for the local patrons, who were clad in jeans and flannel shirts. But there was something about his presence that made Emma instinctively take a step closer. They exchanged awkward smiles when their paths crossed, and suddenly, it felt like the universe had conspired to grant her a moment of reprieve. Over the next few hours, they swapped stories, laughter flowing effortlessly between them. Emma couldn't help but notice the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he laughed, and how he listened intently like she held a secret worth cherishing. He was unlike anyone she had met, a refreshing change in a town where everyone knew her story, every whisper about her financial struggles. But why was James at a charity event? Her heart danced with hope, yet the skepticism remained. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she dared to believe their laughter could lighten the burdens of the life she was living. Every second spent with him felt like a soft embrace, an invitation to a life that was bigger than herself. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As their conversation took a deeper turn and the atmosphere around them filled with warmth, Emma revealed snippets of her life, the relentless cycle of work and care for Lily. James leaned in closer, concern etching his brow as he listened. But with every admission, a shadow crept over their burgeoning connection. Could a man like him ever truly understand a life like hers? Just when she began to embrace their blossoming chemistry, whispers around town started to creep in, rumors about James's lavish lifestyle and secret identity. They struck a chord of doubt in Emma's heart, threatening to dismantle the dream she was beginning to hold on to. Lost in turmoil, Emma stood between the life she'd always known and the new possibility that James represented. Could this feel-good moment survive the harsh realities of their different worlds? Torn between fear of heartbreak and hope for something more, Emma could sense a pivotal moment approaching, waiting to test not just her feelings, but her beliefs about love, family, and resilience. Just when everything seemed to teeter on the edge, the universe took a breath, and so did Emma. She had to choose, confront the whispers, or let them shadow her heart forever. Would she have the courage to break through, or would fear snatch away the laughter that made life in Maplewood worth living? Emma stood in the town hall, the laughter around her feeling distant now. The flickering lights overhead mirrored her confusion, and her heart raced with uncertainty. As she gazed at James, still caught up in an animated conversation with others, she felt a mixture of anxiety and longing. What if they were right about him? What if he was just a charming facade hiding a world of luxury she could never understand? With a heavy sigh, she glanced away, focusing instead on the corner table where Lily's drawing lay, a simple crayon masterpiece full of hearts and sunshine. How could she possibly connect with someone like James? She had memories stained with struggle, filled with late-night dining on instant ramen and the never-ending cycle of juggling bills. Still, part of her yearned to lean into this moment, to let herself be swept away by his warmth and laughter. As if sensing her turmoil, James looked over, locking eyes with Emma. There was a subtle shift. It felt as if the noise faded and the world around them melted away. He approached confidently, a smile illuminating his face. "You okay?" he asked, his concern genuine. Emma nodded but felt the crack in her facade. "Just thinking," she replied, her voice barely more than a whisper. He moved a little closer, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial tone. "About the rumors? Don't let them get to you. People talk." The warmth in his voice both soothed her and sparked a worry. If he truly cared, wouldn't he want to keep his distance? The differences between them loomed larger in her mind. "James, I can't," she started, but he interrupted her, his expression growing serious. "Emma, I want to know you. I know things are complicated, but let me in." A flicker of hope ignited. He seemed different, more open than anyone she'd ever met. But the weight of doubt pulled at her. Could she really let herself trust him? Or would he leave her heart in pieces like she'd experienced before? Before she could respond, a loud thud interrupted, drawing their attention. A small table had tipped over, scattering trays of snacks across the floor. Laughter erupted from a group nearby that quickly rushed to set things right. The chaotic moment broke the tension, and Emma caught James chuckling at the scene, his laughter light and infectious. "I guess even the cheese platter can't stay composed tonight," he grinned. Emma couldn't help but laugh too, the sound bubbling up despite her turmoil. It felt good, the laughter chasing away her unease. James turned to her, his eyes sparkling. "See? We're not that different after all. Just a couple of people trying to make the best of things." His words peeled away a layer of her defenses. Could this be more than just a fleeting moment? Yet again, the whispers of doubt crept back in, threatening to choke her joy. How could she risk more pain when she had so much to protect? Was James really different, or was she just fooling herself? In that moment, she realized the truth was, she could either risk her heart and embrace this unexpected connection, or retreat into her carefully constructed walls. "James," she said slowly, resolve steadied her voice. "I need to know more about you." And just as the words left her lips, she wondered, would this be a leap of faith or the beginning of an unraveling? As she met his gaze, a new current surged between them, charged with possibilities too frightening to ignore. In that instant, the future hung in the balance, and Emma took a deep breath, ready to confront the leap before her. Would she let love in, or would doubt steal this chance away? James studied Emma's face, searching for signs of fear and excitement. His brow furrowed slightly as if he comprehended the battle raging within her. "What do you want to know?" he asked, his tone inviting yet earnest. Emma hesitated. She felt the weight of the town hall around them, voices mingling, music faintly pulsing in the background, but all she could focus on was the man standing before her. "Everything," she whispered, her breath shaky. "I want to know who you really are." A flicker of surprise crossed James's features, but it was quickly replaced by determination. "All right, then. I grew up here, just like you. I wasn't born into privilege," he shared, eyes drifting as if revisiting memories. "It was hard work, long hours for my family, but I wanted more. I wanted to help others avoid that struggle." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Help others?" He nodded, enthusiasm building in his voice. "Yes. I started a few initiatives to support families, just like yours. Programs for kids to get scholarships, food drives. My dad worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, so I know how it feels." His words resonated deeply, peeling a layer back on the man who seemed so elusive, so disconnected from her world at times. Could a person with that kind of heart love her? "I've made my mistakes, and I'm not perfect," James continued. "But I want to be better. I want to use what I have to make a difference." A lump formed in her throat. Maybe he was different. "What about the rumors?" she asked, narrowing her eyes at him. "What do you say to those who think you're just a rich kid playing pretend?" He frowned, anguish flashing in his eyes. "They don't see the work that goes into everything. It's not just charm, it's sacrifice. I make sure my influence counts for something, but it's exhausting at times. People don't see the late nights, the stress, the pressure to succeed in ways they can't understand. Emma stared at him, caught in his honesty. Suddenly, their differences began to fade. They weren't so far apart after all. Each had faced their own challenges, though they looked different on the surface. As laughter erupted again from another part of the room, reminiscent of the earlier chaos, Emma felt a small smile tug at her lips. You're essentially saying it's all about the heart? Exactly, he said, his face lighting up. Isn't that what we're all searching for? Connection, understanding? I want that. I want you. The weight of their mutual admission hung in the air, a delicious tension made electric by the crowd moving around them. Emma felt butterflies swarming her stomach. His desire felt palpable, and the fear that once gripped her heart began to ease. Okay, she said quietly, determination taking root. Let us find out if we can understand each other. Before they could delve deeper, Lily bounced over, her little hands clutching a paper plate piled high with colorful snacks. Mom! Look at what I got! She exclaimed, her face beaming with innocence and joy. The moment shifted with the arrival of her daughter, a reminder of the life Emma was protective of. She knelt down to meet Lily's gaze, but her heart raced. Today felt like it was shifting into something more than just playful exchanges. As laughter filled the space once again, Emma turned back to James, half expecting to see disappointment flash across his face. Instead, he watched her with warmth, as if embracing the whole of her life, baggage and all. In that instant, Emma realized this might actually be a turning point. Could she really allow someone into her daughter's and her world? Would he rise to the occasion if they started down this path? Just as she opened her mouth to ask him about Lily's snacks, the lights flickered again, and an unmistakable tension gripped the room. The unmistakable sound of shattering glass echoed from somewhere in the back. Turning toward the chaos, Emma felt a rising knot in her stomach. What was happening? Was this night slipping away from her, straining a fragile connection just formed? Stay right here, James said, taking a step toward the commotion, determination etched across his features. She grabbed his arm. James, wait. But he was already moving. What was he about to uncover, and would it affect the fragile bond they had begun to forge? Emma's heart raced again, uncertainty swirling within her. Emma watched as James pulled away from her grasp, the warmth of his presence fading amidst the chaos enveloping the room. Her heart pounded louder than the muffled sounds of shattering glass, each beat a reminder of how fragile this moment felt. Without him close by, the ground beneath her seemed to shift unnervingly. Glancing at Lily, the little girl's eyes were wide, a mix of curiosity and confusion reflecting in them. Emma forced a smile, nodding slowly to reassure her, but the worry clawing at her chest made it a struggle. Mom, what's happening? Lily asked, her innocent voice cutting through the noise. Just a little bump in the night, sweetheart, Emma said with a cheerful tone that felt forced. Let us stay right here for a moment. The crowd began to murmur, a wave of concern flowing through the hall as folks turned their attention toward where the glass had shattered. Emma's instincts told her to protect Lily, to shield her from any potential harm. She could feel the tight grip of fear sneaking in, but the space between her and James made it even worse. A few people began to rise from their chairs, and the band stalled mid-song, leaving a lingering silence in the air, heavy with apprehension. Emma turned her gaze back to where James had gone, searching amid the onlookers for a glimpse of him moving toward the source of the disturbance. James! She called out, her voice sharp with a mix of anxiety and disbelief. He didn't turn. Stay close to me, Lily, she instructed, her arms wrapping protectively around her daughter. The tension in the room felt palpable, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for something to unfold. Emma's mind raced. Who had caused it? Was anyone hurt? And why did she feel this gnawing need for James to come back? Then, there he was. Emerging back into her view, James returned quickly, his face slightly flushed but eyes sparkling with resolve. Relief washed over Emma, but it was fleeting as his expression transformed into concern. James approached them, the crowd beginning to simmer down behind him. "I think someone knocked over a drink," he explained, voice steady despite the chaos. "It looks worse than it is, but we should keep an eye out." As he spoke, Emma noted how the tension seemed to ease slightly, the crowd settling back into their conversations. But her heart remained heavy. What if this was just the beginning? This moment was a test of sorts, an early glimpse into the challenges that could come with allowing James into their lives. Feeling the pressure of everything closing in, she tore her gaze from the chaos around them and looked straight into James's eyes. "Can I trust you?" The question slipped out before she could hold it back, raw and yearning. "Emma," he began, his face softening as he reached for her hand. His warm touch ignited a flicker of hope within her, yet the walls of doubt still loomed high. She wanted to believe him, to believe that he could be the man she'd been looking for. Yet, trusting wasn't easy, especially with everything at stake. "I want us to be better, all of us," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I want to be in this, to help. But I need you to be open with me." Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. Being open meant vulnerability. Could she truly face the fear that shielded her heart for so long? Lily tugged at her sleeve, breaking the moment. "Mom, can we go get cake now?" Emma smiled down at her daughter, and just like that, the brief heaviness lifted. Maybe tonight wouldn't end in ruins after all. Maybe there was still hope. "Okay, let us grab some cake," Emma said, looking back at James, who nodded with encouragement. But as they started to move, she sensed the atmosphere shifting again. A new sound, harsher than before, rang out, angry voices rising, the crowd stirring with uncertainty once more. Emma's heart dropped. What was happening now? "James," she whispered, panic creeping back in as he turned to face the sound. "We need to find out what's going on," but before he could finish, a figure burst through the crowd, face flushed with emotion, and everything seemed to spiral back into chaos again. What did this mean for their night? And could their connection withstand the storm that was now brewing? Emma's heart raced, tumult threatened to engulf them yet again. James's eyes flicked toward the figure emerging from the crowd, an air of urgency cloaked in confusion. Emma felt tension return, gripping her as tightly as her daughter's small hand. The anger in the voices rose, a chorus of agitation fueling her already racing pulse. "Stay close," she urged again, now tightening her grip around Lily, who looked up, her bright blue eyes wide with concern. The figure materialized, revealing a tall man with disheveled hair and clenched fists. He looked out of breath and frayed at the edges, eyes darting around as if searching for someone or something. Emma's heart raced as the chaos drummed louder in her ears, drowning out the music that had only moments before filled the room with joy. "Hey! What is going on?" James stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. The man stopped in his tracks, eyes locking onto James. "You've got to help me. They're here." His voice was fast, a palpable panic spilling forth that sent shivers down Emma's spine. "Who's here?" James pressed, his own worry layering on top of Emma's. She felt the space between them dwindle as she moved slightly closer, the sweet scent of her daughter's hair grounding her while the uncertainty loomed over them. The man's eyes darted back to the exit, his entire expression painted with desperation. "The people from the alley. They're coming for me." Now the crowd stirred again, people shifting and whispering among themselves, curiosity mingling with dread. Emma's stomach twisted. Who was he? And why were these strangers threatening him? Her instincts screamed for clarity, for safety. "Lily, honey, let us," Emma started, but the little girl's eyes widened further, sensing the panic in the air. "Mom, I want to stay," she insisted, clutching her mother's leg tightly, her childish bravery an unexpected anchor. Emma hesitated, torn between fleeing to safety and staying to understand what was happening. James glanced back at Emma, the worry etched in his brow giving way to determination. "We need to move," he said. "We can't let him get hurt. Let us go together." "Together?" Emma echoed, the word heavy in her heart. Trust was a tightrope, and she suddenly felt her footing waver. "Trust me," he reiterated, reaching for her hand again, his grip firm. The warmth of his skin against hers sent an unexpected surge of courage through her. Perhaps tonight was a test, but maybe it was a moment for them to prove something great together. The man took a halting step forward. "Please. They're dangerous. I need help." With the room buzzing with rising tension, Emma glanced at Lily, who was eyeing her with both fear and eagerness. Did hiding shelter their future, or would taking a stand into the harsh unknown forge new paths for them? As she locked eyes with James, she felt that surge of hope echoing within her. "Okay," she said, her voice shaking but resolute. "Let us help him. We can't just leave him." Emma let out a breath, feeling the weight of the decision wash over her. The event could go either way, they could find unity in purpose or succumb to chaos. But could they truly handle whatever storm was about to unfold? The man motioned toward the back exit, his eyes pleading. "Right behind you," James said, his tone steady as he pulled Emma and Lily along, guiding them through the crowd. As they moved, every second felt stretched thin, reality ready to snap. The mystery of their new connection intertwined with the chaos, and Emma could only wonder if stepping forward would bring them closer or tear them apart. What awaited them on the other side of the door? Was this a fateful step or a plunge into the unknown? Emma's breath hitched as she pushed through the last barrier, uncertainty swirling around them like the storm gathering in her heart. The air outside felt charged with a different energy, colder and sharper than what they had just left behind. Emma's heart raced as the sudden shift pounded against her chest. The bright light from the street lamps illuminated the alley ahead, casting long shadows that seemed to elongate and sway with unseen torment. James hurried the group down a narrow path, the man guiding them with frantic gestures. "This way," he urged, glancing over his shoulder with a mix of fear and urgency. "They'll be here any second." "Who are they?" Emma found herself asking, needing answers, yet feeling every bit the weight of the unknown. She could sense the raw panic lacing the man's voice. Was it palpable enough for Lily to grasp? Her small fingers wrapped tightly around Emma's hand, grounding her amidst the tremor of reality. The man turned slightly to look back. "You won't believe me. They're not normal people. They've got something." His voice trailed off, eyes widening as they reached a corner. Emma instinctively shielded Lily, her instincts flaring. "No more surprises tonight. Is this some kind of joke?" A voice shouted from the distance. It was booming and authoritative, chilling Emma to the bone. She exchanged a worried glance with James, who stepped slightly in front of her and Lily, a determined wall against whatever was coming their way. "Keep moving," James urged, shoving the man ahead. The more they ran, the more the shadows fled like dark clouds scattered by the wind. Emma's lungs burned, the sound of their hurried footsteps echoing off the brick walls. They crossed into a deserted street, the exit clearing just enough for her to breathe. "I think we lost them." Emma exhaled, though doubt gnawed at her. There was relief, but it felt tentative, like the last leaf clinging to a winter branch. They paused to catch their breaths. "Thank you, I thought I'd never get away," the man said, trembling and leaning against a lamppost for support. He was disheveled yet still held an undeniable presence, like an unpolished diamond encased in grime. "Why don't you tell us who's after you?" "We can help," James urged, still vigilant. Emma admired his courage. It both reassured her and made her frantically aware of their precarious situation. "They're part of an underground group. They want something I have," the man replied, wiping the sweat from his brow. "But it's not just about me. It's bigger than that. They'll do anything to get it. What do you mean? Emma squeezed her daughter's hand tighter, the reality of the moment creeping in. Was their extraordinary night twisted into a nightmarish tale? As the man opened his mouth to explain, a low rumble rolled through the air. The sound persisted, a bass note that thrummed against her eardrums. Distant headlights began to cut through the dark, drawing nearer. No, the man's voice dropped, laden with dread. I told you they're coming. Panic surged, and Emma felt her heart pound fiercely, echoing the fear. It took all her strength not to grip Lily tighter, not to let her fear consume the moment. They turned as one toward the direction from which the sound approached, the shadows from the headlights stretching ominously. Run! James yelled, propelling them forward again. In that instant, Emma felt the force of the unknown, the right choice, the wrong choice, their lives intertwining, dependent on each other under an unforgiving sky. They sprinted down the desolate street, breathing heavily, glancing back for any sign of what pursued them. The night thickened around them, and Emma realized escaping was only half the battle. No matter where they ran, the shadows that loomed in their minds could prove just as menacing. What could this man possibly possess that others were willing to chase him for, even into the deadly unknown? As they raced further from safety, uncertainty pulsed in the very air around them, and Emma felt the looming weight of a question that might change everything. Would they outrun their fears, or were they racing into the deepest shadows of their lives? The sound of their footsteps filled the air, a rhythm of frantic desperation as they navigated through the labyrinth of dim streets. Emma could feel the burning in her chest, each breath a reminder that they were teetering on the edge of terror. Lily's small hand in hers was the lifeline she clung to, its warmth grounding her while shadows chased them relentlessly. Why are they after you? James pressed the man as they dashed, his voice steady despite the chaos. Because of what I know, the man gasped, his face pale and strained. About them. About things they don't want anyone to uncover. Emma's stomach twisted at the thought. What things? What are you hiding? She hoped her questions wouldn't just bring more trouble, but she needed clarity, she needed to protect Lily. He glanced around as they turned another corner, his eyes flickering with nervous energy. I can't explain here. They hear everything. But if we don't get to safety, his voice trailed off, fear painting his features. A flash of headlights illuminated their path, slicing through the darkness like a predator's gaze. Emma's heart skipped, and she felt her pulse quicken. They found us again. She shouted, squeezing Lily's hand tighter. Follow me. James shouted, urging them down an alley that smelled of damp and decay. The narrow passageway felt suffocating, as though the walls were closing in on them. Lily let out a small whimper, and Emma crouched down, bringing her face close, trying to inject calm into the storm swirling around them. Keep quiet, sweetie. Just stay close to me. The innocent trust in her daughter's eyes brought a fresh wave of resolve crashing over her. They rushed into the alley, ducking behind a dumpster just as the headlights washed over the street. Emma's heart raced as she held her breath, feeling the cold metal of the dumpster digging into her back. She listened intently, the heavy rumble of vehicles slowing, their drivers hunting. Are they gonna find us? Lily whispered, her voice a fragile thread. Not if we're careful, Emma promised, though dread crept into her mind. Listen, the man whispered, his teeth chattering. They've got eyes everywhere. We need to move, now. About to push herself away from the dumpster, Emma caught his eye. And where do we go? Just trust me, he insisted, not waiting for her reply. He turned and slipped from their hiding spot, gesturing for them to follow. Emma had a moment's hesitation. Trusting a stranger at a time like this felt insane. But what choice did she have? They followed him out into the alley, where the shadows twisted in the flickering light from a distant street lamp. He moved fast, darting between shadows and staying low. Emma mirrored him, forcing herself to move quickly yet silently while clutching onto Lily as they navigated further away from the headlights. The path led them into an open area, the breath of night swirling around them. It felt like a sanctuary for a split second, but the moment was short-lived as the rumble of engines echoed again, closer this time. "What now?" James asked, glancing back with a mix of urgency and frustration. "There's a safe house nearby. We need to get there before they catch up." Emma's heart raced again. A safe house? Would it hold true safety, or just more shadows lurking within? Her mind flooded with doubts. The thrill of the chase was a potent reminder of how quickly life could spiral out of control. With Lily still snuggled against her, Emma shot a glance at the man. "Lead the way. But you better explain everything. If my daughter is in danger because of you." "I swear," he replied, eyes wide and sincere. "I'll tell you everything." Together they ran again, fear nipping at their heels. Emma's heart ached deeper, not just for their safety, but for a truth that was beginning to unravel. What if the revelation this man held was tied to their own lives? As they reached the mouth of a hidden entrance, the sound of shouts erupted from the distance. The shadows had come alive again, and Emma knew they did not have much time left. "Get inside now," the man commanded. But as they poised to slip through, Emma hesitated, a nagging thought sitting heavy in her gut. What if they were stepping straight into a trap? In that fleeting moment, a single question loomed over them like a storm cloud threatening to burst. What truths awaited them behind that door? Emma's breath caught in her throat. The moment stretched, her instincts screaming for her to analyze every detail. The door stood slightly ajar, creaking on its hinges, as if inviting them into a darkened void. Behind her, James urged her forward, his hand pressing gently on her back. "Emma, we don't have time," he snapped, glancing back at the shadows closing in like dark tendrils. She took in Lily's frightened face, her wide eyes glistening with tears. "It's okay, honey. I'm right here," Emma whispered, tightening her grip on her daughter. But the truth was, she was scared of the unknown, of the danger lurking outside, and of what awaited them inside. The man, still watching her closely, nodded as if sensing her hesitation. "Trust me, please. I promise it's safer inside." With a final glance at Lily, Emma took a deep breath and pushed through the door. It shut behind them with a loud thud, muffling the noise of the outside world. They found themselves in a dimly lit hallway that smelled stale and musty. The air felt heavy, like they had entered a different realm, one where the ghosts of fear and desperation lingered. "Where are we?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "There are people here who can help," the man replied as he led them deeper into the house, his footsteps echoing in the cramped space. "I promise." They followed him into a small room cluttered with mismatched furniture and old newspapers strewn about like forgotten memories. An elderly woman looked up from the couch, her face lined with age but her eyes gleaming with kindness. "Get them settled, Daniel," she instructed, her voice steady despite the fear hanging in the air. He gestured for Emma and Lily to sit. Emma lowered herself, cradling her daughter in her lap. "We need to know what's happening," she said firmly. Daniel's expression grew grave. "You must understand, there are people out there, powerful people who will stop at nothing to silence anyone who knows too much. I've been trying to expose them, and now they are after me, and anyone who gets in the way." Emma felt the weight of his words settle on her. "What do they want? What do you know?" "There's a network, a web of corruption that reaches into places you wouldn't believe," Daniel explained, his eyes darting around the room as if expecting them to be discovered at any moment. "I got hold of some files, evidence that proves it all. But they won't let me disclose it without a struggle." Lily peered up at Emma, her little voice breaking through the tension. "Mommy, is it safe here?" Emma's heart twisted. She looked around the room. It was shabby, but the old woman's presence felt oddly comforting. "For now, yes," she assured, forcing a smile for Lily's sake. Deep down, she didn't know if that was true. "Daniel, the elderly woman interrupted, redirecting the conversation. We don't have time for more stories. We need to get your information somewhere safe, or they will find us all. Yes, right, he replied, fingers trembling as he rummaged through his bag. It's all here, everything. As he laid out a stack of documents, Emma's pulse quickened. The truth was unfolding before her, but fear gripped her heart. Were they prepared for what this meant? In that moment of hesitation, her mind flooded with conflicting emotions. What if uncovering the truth put them all in danger? What if it revealed secrets better left buried? She glanced at Lily, who sat there, blissfully unaware, and felt the fierce protectiveness rise within her. Daniel, she interrupted, her voice steady now, what if we're caught? What if this puts Lily in danger? Emma, Daniel replied, concern flooding his features, this isn't just about me anymore. They're already after you. We need to act quickly. As he spoke, the ground felt like it was shifting beneath her. Could she take this plunge? Could she dive into a world that felt like a waking nightmare for Lily's future? Suddenly, there was a loud banging on the door, sending a chill down her spine. Open up. We know you're in there. Panic surged through Emma as she felt the walls close in once more. Decisions spun in her mind like a whirlwind, and all she could think was that time was running out. What would she choose, to reveal the truth, risking everything, or to hide away from the darkness brewing at the door? Emma's heart raced, each thud echoing in her ears like a haunting drum. The banging on the door grew more insistent, a relentless reminder of the danger lurking too close for comfort. She squeezed Lily tighter, feeling her daughter's soft curls brush against her chin. This was not just about her anymore, it was about protecting the little girl who had always been her light in the darkness. Can't you do something? Emma asked Daniel, desperation seeping into her voice. We have to move, now. He urged, panic flashing through his eyes. The old woman stood up, her posture rigid, displaying unexpected strength. We need a plan. If they don't get in here, they'll move on, but we can't stay here forever. Where do we go? Emma asked, her mind racing. She didn't even know where here was, and now they needed a sanctuary. Follow me, Daniel said, nodding towards a narrow door at the end of the room. It looked like it led to another part of the house, but Emma hesitated. This was all too much. Shouldn't she be thinking about escape routes or barricades? Instead, she was about to dive deeper into this messy chaos. Mommy Lily peeked up again, her eyes wide, shimmering with fear. A brush of guilt washed over Emma. She needed to do this for her daughter, for their future. But what future would it be if they got caught like this? Okay, we can do this, Emma whispered as she forced herself to stand, feeling the weight of her decision settle on her shoulders. We trust you, Daniel. With a glance back at the door, where the banging intensified into furious pounding, they slipped through the narrow opening. Daniel led them down a winding corridor that felt colder and darker than the space they had just escaped. Emma glanced over to Lily, who squeezed her hand reassuringly. It was a small moment of connection but held layers of unspoken bravery and trust. They entered a small room that smelled like long-forgotten spices, and Emma froze. The walls were lined with canvases covered in wild strokes of color, as if someone had poured their soul onto the surface. This is the studio, Daniel explained, his voice noticeably softer. It's safe here for now. The families around us are hiding, too. We watch each other's backs. Emma felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they weren't alone in this. Maybe there were others who shared her fears, her desperation to protect their loved ones. Do you paint? A voice interrupted, pulling her back to the moment. It was the old woman, standing by one of the canvases. Emma shook her head, a little embarrassed. Not really. I used to enjoy it, but she couldn't finish the thought. The weight of lost dreams hovered over her like a dark cloud, but she smiled through it. But it looks beautiful. Creativity is a refuge during storms, dear, the old woman said. You'll find your way back, even if you don't see it now. The room was still, filled with an unexpected calm, but it didn't last long. The pounding on the door changed, voices shouted commands, and it was clear they weren't leaving without a fight. We have to go now, Daniel urged, grabbing the documents he had hastily packed. There's a back exit we can use. We have to leave this house, there's no time. Panic swept over Emma again, but she held Lily's hand tightly. Okay, she said, forcing her voice to steady. Let us do it. As they moved towards the exit, her heart pounded not just for fear, but for the yearning to fight back, to reclaim a sense of safety for Lily. The contrast of the vibrant art against the looming danger felt surreal. Could they really escape this? Emma glanced back one last time at the canvases, a silent prayer for strength wrapped in vibrant colors. When they reached the exit, Daniel suddenly hesitated, anxiety flickering in his eyes. What if don't? This is our chance. Emma interrupted. Nothing could feel worse than staying hidden while the shadows closed in around them. With a final push, they broke through the door, fresh air hitting their faces like a blast of reality. But just as they stepped out, she froze. Ahead of them stood a group of men, their faces cold and menacing, blocking the way with an air of finality. Going somewhere? One of them sneered, a chill settling deep in Emma's bones. Was this where it ends? Could she protect Lily against them? Every breath counted as they stood on the precipice of their future, the shadows still chasing them, yet a spark of resilience ignited within. Whatever was coming, Emma wouldn't buckle. They had come too far, and she would do whatever it took to keep her daughter safe. But as she prepared to fight, a question loomed: could she steel her heart for the challenges ahead? She couldn't think of that now. Stay close to me, she whispered to Lily, who only nodded, trusting her mother completely. Then, with a deep breath, Emma steeled herself for the moment of truth ahead, not yet knowing what fate awaited them next. Courage pressed forward, but so did fear. What would they uncover in this battle against darkness? Emma's heart thundered as she faced the men blocking their path. A surge of power washed through her, igniting an unyielding blaze of protectiveness that shielded Lily, who stood resolutely by her side. No shadows would steal their light today. Let them go. James shouted, stepping slightly in front of Emma. His voice held a firmness that echoed through the alley. The leader of the men smirked, amusement tainting his threatening demeanor. You think you can protect them? You're outnumbered. I don't need to be, James said, his tone steady. What you want isn't here. You're after Daniel. Emma felt a rush of gratitude for James's unwavering support, but fear still coiled tight in her stomach. What did these men want? Stay back. Daniel shouted, stepping forward with desperation on his face. Whatever you think I have, you'll never get it. The leader's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, something sinister danced across his expression. We'll see about that. You can't hide from us forever. With that, the tension snapped, igniting a flurry of movement. In a split-second decision, Daniel turned, urging Emma and Lily toward another narrow opening beside the house. Without hesitation, Emma grabbed Lily's hand, pulling her along as James followed close behind. They darted into what appeared to be a garden, overgrown and wild. It felt like stepping off the edge of reality itself as they raced down the path, every whisper of the wind pushing them forward. Which way? Emma gasped, glancing around frantically for an escape. Here! Daniel exclaimed, gesturing toward a side fence that loomed just ahead, slightly ajar. But before they could reach it, a shout echoed behind them. Don't let them escape. Go! James shouted, urgency fueling his voice as he sprinted ahead to yank the fence open wider. Emma's heart raced. They had to get out, had to keep moving. As they squeezed through the opening, Emma felt the cool night air fill her lungs like freedom itself. They emerged onto a desolate street, the glow of streetlights peeking through the darkness, guiding their way. Chest heaving, Emma glanced back only to see the men bursting through the garden. This way. She pulled Lily along again, her senses heightened by the fear that lingered close behind. Sharp breaths echoed in her ears as they ran. Emma felt alive, pulsating with fear and rage, but also something else, something powerful. She wasn't just running, she was fighting for her daughter, for their future. "Where do we go?" she called out to Daniel. "There. The alley," he directed, pointing towards a nearby passageway leading further into the labyrinth of the town. They raced down the alley, darkness enveloping them like a thick cloak. "Keep quiet," she whispered, hoping the shadows would cloak them in silence. As they turned a corner, Emma felt the familiar weight of her worries creep back in. Each heartbeat thrummed with the reminder of the trials ahead. As another corner turned, they found themselves in a small assembly of abandoned buildings. The crumbling facades loomed ominously, remnants of a forgotten world, yet their sanctuary for the moment felt secure. "Are we safe?" Lily asked, looking up at Emma with wide, innocent eyes. "For now," Emma said, forcing a smile to calm her daughter. The room around them was dim, shadows dancing with every flicker of light from a distant street lamp. "What's next?" James asked. His brow furrowed, determination flickering in his eyes. Emma glanced at Daniel, who was still catching his breath. "We need to find a way to get the information to the authorities. The files he has could expose everything." "No, it's too risky," Daniel interrupted, worry shrouding his features. "They have spies everywhere. If they find out, we'll take that risk." Emma interjected, certainty coursing through her. "I'm tired of hiding. We have to fight for what's right. We owe it to ourselves, to Lily." James stepped closer, his gaze fierce and unyielding. "If we're going to do this, we need a plan. We need to stay one step ahead of them." As they huddled in whispered conversations, Emma felt a flicker of resolve ignite within her. They were united now, not just in fear, but in strength. In that moment, circumstances shifted. Fears still loomed on the edges, but as they strategized their next steps, Emma looked at Lily. She was safe. They would keep her safe. Finally, they stood together, a firm alliance forged through adversity. "We'll get through this, together," Emma vowed, grasping Lily's hand with newfound security. With a determined nod, James and Daniel echoed her sentiment. As they filled the night with the outlines of their plans and the trust they were building, a bond unfurled, vibrant and alive. They would face whatever darkness came their way. This was their world too, and their strength was deeper than any shadow. They burst through the abandoned buildings one final time, breaking into the early morning air. It wasn't just about survival, they were carving a path toward a future where hope reigned, even if it meant wrestling with the very shadows that sought to swallow them whole. What awaited them in the dawn to come? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear: every step they took would be a stand against fear, building a brighter tomorrow for each of them. And as they ventured out, armed with courage and hope, Emma felt the warmth of possibility spreading through her. A risk worth taking, a life worth fighting for. Don't wait another second. You need to subscribe now to witness the next chapter of this thrilling journey. Leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Comment below about your thoughts and feelings on this incredible transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this amazing journey of resilience. It's time to show your support for the channel. Together we rise.